Morning, welcome back to the channel. It goes the same for me too. It's been a while. Been very busy. I've not got anywhere near as much content out to everybody as I'd like to. First and foremost, thanks for the people that have messaged asking when the next upload is. Appreciate that. Shows interest. I like it. So what's the plan today? Plan today is to replace those rear disc pads on the T4. They're part of the advisory of the MOT. We're trying to work through that list to get 0 advisories for the MOT, which is a bit later in the year. So rear disc pads are one of them. I need to get them done anyway. They're scored and pitted and worn. So we'll jump right in, get those done. I also will still want to get the suspension lowered on it. So we'll see how things go in this video. We might get it in as well. So once again, welcome back. Thanks for the support. Let's go. So check this out. I actually bought myself a new jack. So this is now a 3-ton jack, low profile, and this is my 20-plus-year-old small jack. Properly good bit of kit. SGS 3-ton jack. I mean, that'll make life easier. And that might even give me a decent lift to get the wheels off the motorhome. Because the chassis is so high in the motorhome, it's harder to get the lift without putting it on blocks and that. So we're going to give that a go at some point, see how it is. But yeah, really pleased with it. Big upgrade. Let's go. So the first job is to loosen the wheel nuts. Then we're going to take our jack and put it under the rear lower arm for the suspension. Oh, that jack was a breeze, wasn't it? Right, so I've got a block of wood just under the front wheel. It's not going to roll backwards, we know that, but it's just safety. I've got the axle stand up under here, and that's sat there nicely. I've still got the jack that's on the rear lower arm there, and we can now get this wheel off. So there's 5 studs on this T4. Take them off, we can pull the wheel away from the hub. Okay, let's have a look at this disc and pads. What are we saying? Scored, pitting, very rusty. The backing plate itself is quite bad. We'll give all this a proper clean up. I mean, look at the caliper. Wow. Ooh. I would say doing disc and pads at a leisurely pace would probably be about 20 minutes. But we're going to be wire brushing the death out of everything. We're going to take a little bit of time and get all this cleaned up. I'll tell you what else. Look at this inside of this arch. That is actually properly good. Oh, pleased with that. Right. Job 1. Release the handbrake. Job 2. Caliper off. Time to get the wire brush and attack some of those rusted areas. Now we're going to use a 13mm spanner and a 15mm spanner to remove those caliper slider bolts. With the bolts removed now, we can pull the caliper itself away from the caliper carrier. Okay, so the pads have still got a bit of meat on them. But as always, when you're changing discs, you change your pads too. I mean, this is just not great, is it? Fortunately, these rubbers that are holding these caliper slider pins in, they're all free moving still, look. So we don't have to pull this apart, just give it a bit of a clean up with a wire brush. That's decent. Okay, so I've got new discs and new pads. I've actually had these a very long time. I hope these match, because sending them back now might be a bit of a problem. This here, we'll talk about this in a sec. Perfect. Okay, so what we got here, this is a brake pad wear sensor. So this actually lives on the driver's side, the offside rear. You have one on the front and one on the rear, and yeah, that's what that one's for. So this is a solid rear disc. You don't have the holes for venting. It's not drilled, it's not grooved. That is just a solid disc. I suppose we better check that this disc looks to be right. And I reckon that's slightly bigger. Let's see. Okay, so this disc is a 300mm disc and the rear is a 280. So the joy. So the rear discs on the van are 280. The new discs I've got are 300. Let's go pick up some new ones. While we're here, I replaced the wing on the BMW. Another bit of content that I wanted to get out. As you can see, we've still got some scratches to do on the front bumper, but we'll get them sorted. But for the sake of a pretty mint wing for 50 quid, we'll take it. Cool. Well, we're going across to Euro Car Parts to pick up some replacement discs, and might as well talk about the BMW now we're in it. So I absolutely love this car, the 320D pre-LCI. I think it's the M47 2-litre diesel engine, 6-speed box. It's been a brilliant car for us, really. But one thing with this 6-speed box, the gearing is an absolute nightmare if you want to drive 30 miles an hour. In pretty much any other car, at 30 miles an hour you can chuck it in fifth and it's happy days, you know, it doesn't mind it. You put 30 mile an hour in fifth gear in this, oh, it doesn't like it at all. This car, the gearing setup is like it wants to be driven. So that's probably the only thing with this car that I call it a frustration. A frustration, yeah. Comfortable to drive, all the controls you need on the steering wheel and what have you. This is the M Sport model, of course, so it's got these hugging seats, and it's a bit uprated in places and that, and the face on them, and the rear, the M Sport look. It's just probably, for me, one of the best looking estate cars of the era, of the sort of mid 2000s, you know, 2005 to 2010. This one certainly it's just been great. It's been really, really good. We're on 183,000 miles now. It's got its things, you know, there are things with a car this age, but on the whole, just an absolute joy to drive. You put your foot down, you go somewhere. It's 163 horsepower, this one. It's probably lost a few of those horses from the stable now, you know, being the age it is, and with the engine, the mileage at 183. But yeah, can't really fault this car. If you are looking for an estate car and want to keep away from all the Euro 6 junk and what have you, and something that's a bit more modern, a bit more old school but modern enough, this I can't recommend these enough. These BMWs E91s, they're lovely. Anyway, we digress now, because we're going to Euro Car Parts to pick up 2 discs. So for anyone out there, your 1.9 turbo diesel T4, before you order your discs, check how big your discs are. I didn't, and now I've paid the price because I've got 300mm rear discs when I need 280s. So yeah, let's go. Well, I got my discs. So the rear discs on the T4, 280mm, and Euro Car Parts in Millbrook, Southampton. The worst Euro Car Parts on the planet. Let me know below if you know a worse one. They are the slowest people. I mean, I had a black beard when I went in there, and now it's grey. Oh man, it is pain. Anyway, rant over. Got the discs. Let's get back and film. tidy, smaller. That does the job. Also picked up another can of brake and clutch cleaner. We want to clean up all these surfaces before we fit it back on. So the disc has a retaining screw that needs to be removed. I've added a little bit of plus gas there to help it along the way. So I had a bit of trouble and had to remove the caliper carrier. On some vehicles you can get away with leaving the carrier in place and just pulling the disc out, but not the case for our one. Well, that was fun. Okay, so as you saw, I sprayed with some plus gas first and also got the socket onto the bolt, and then I smashed the back of the socket. And then that's going to shock the bolt and any rust, hopefully, which I believe it has done. And also using this bar, this half-inch bar, and smashing that around, ended up releasing the carrier. So now I can remove one of the bolts of the carrier, spin it out the way, take the disc off. Disc out with the carrier removed enough to get the disc to slide out of here, and then it's back out with a wire brush again to get those surfaces clean of the rusted deposits. So a quick spray with the brake and clutch cleaner. And then I'm also applying a bit of copper slip or copper grease just to that hub face to prevent the disc getting seized on, which can often happen. So now the new disc can go back on. As you can see, I've had to remove the caliper carrier because it was in the way. Typical. Then it's in with the retaining screw. Nip that up. Spray down with a brake cleaner, and then we can get that caliper carrier back in. So that's the disc on all nice. No funny sounds. So with the caliper, obviously there's more meat on your new pad, this material here. There's more meat on there, so the gaps close right up now. So what we need to do is wind back this piston. Now, as the brakes are pressurized with brake fluid and sealed with the brake reservoir cap, what we need to do to be able to wind this back, is release the brake reservoir, and that allows any pressure within it to be able to be released so this can come back. Right, so this is a caliper piston wind back toolkit. I've probably had this getting on for nearly, I don't know, 15 years or so. And you have different fittings that suit different types of calipers. So what I need to do is match up what we've got on this caliper to what we have here, and then we should be able to add this tool and wind it back. So now our piston is wound all the way back. So with the piston wound back in the caliper, we can now put the pads into the carrier. I've had a little bit of copper grease there to stop any squealing. I've always done it. It's up to you and whoever, if that is the thing to do or not, but I always have. So the caliper itself goes back on, and those 13mm nuts get nipped up, and using the 15mm on the inside of the carrier there, that will help stopping the slider pin spin when you're trying to tighten. So there we have it. New discs, new pads, everything done up tight. Rinse and repeat the other side, with the only difference being the brake pad wear sensor that needs to be plugged in. No bolts left. Job's a good one. I'll do the other side exactly the same, but I will show you with the brake pad wear sensor how that fixes in. If it matches up, of course, because the connector could be different. You know what it's like. I mean, the brakes were different, so we'll see. Okay, we were talking about the wear pad sensor on the other side. So we have this cable that comes in from here, goes over the top and plugs in there. So this is the wear pad sensor, which is what we saw on the other set of discs, on the other set of pads. So that's that there, the wear pad sensor on the offside rear brake caliper. And that's the driver's side rear done too, the offside rear. All buttoned up, wear pad sensor in, retained correctly. Job done for the rear brakes. That's another MOT advisory off the list. Now then, let's have a look at this suspension. Excellent stuff. Rear discs and pads done on the T4. Right, let's have a look at this suspension and see how we lower it on these vans. Okay, so the T4 rears are super easy to swap out and lower. You can see the spring here. What we do is we drop the bolt out at the bottom of the shock with the car jacked up. This arm lowers, and then we can pull the spring out and replace it with a lowering one. That's the easy one. Obviously the most difficult thing will be taking the bolt out at the bottom. Okay, and to lower the front's a bit different. So the suspension at the front is on a torsion bar on the T4. Okay, so first thing we want to do, jack the front of the van up. But we don't want to jack it up so the wheels are off the ground. We just want to take some pressure out of the front end. So we'll jack it up a bit and get it on axle stands and still have the wheels on the ground. When you're doing this, always use axle stands on the front. If the torsion bar comes out without axle stands or support, there could be a high chance the van will just drop straight to the deck. So we want to take some pressure out of the torsion bar, just a bit, wheels still on the ground, and it on axle stands. So look. Okay, so the wheel's still on the ground and we're on the axle stands. So we're safe that the vehicle is not just going to drop to the floor. So what I'm going to do now is just measure the distance of thread we've got here, and that's the starting point for us. So we're at about 48mm on this one. And look the other side. We're at about 55. Hey. Oh, it's lowering. Come on. Yes. Don't speak so soon. We need them both to move. Please. Yes. Oh, it's so good. That is how easy it should be. Plenty of plus gas, soaked in it for weeks. If you try turning this and this bar starts twisting with it, you've got to stop, because the top end of here, up at the top of this bar, it's on a knuckle, and it's kind of shaped in a T. And if you twist that out, this will fall to the floor, this will drop, and then you're in a world of pain. This is how easy you need to have it. That is so good. I wire wheeled all the threads, top and bottom, plus gas through the top, through the underneath, round the sides. I must have done it maybe a good 5 times of spraying it. Just to get it to this stage now so it can move. Let's have a little quick measure. So we're at 55 on this near side. We're now at 40. And 20mm off this thread relates to a 50mm drop at the front. Couple of mil to go. Nearly there. So another thing to note is this lowering this side of your torsion bar is actually lowering that side of the van. So if you're adjusting your near side torsion bar, your offside suspension is lowering. That is what I'm led to believe. And I'm going to call that pretty much done. Perfect. That's about 35mm. So in essence, that's probably a 50mm drop on the front so far. Let's do the other side. We'll have some more plus gas. If you don't use plus gas, I highly recommend it. It's managed to get off the hardiest of stuck on nuts. And bolts. We've got about 5mm to go. That's it. Check that out. So much lower now. I am proper chuffed with that. Another step closer to getting the ride height exactly how I want it. We're lower on the front. Let's change those backs. Right, so if you remember in a previous video, I can't remember if I'd done it on TikTok or Instagram or if it was in a video, I bought some lowering springs. Unknown make, although I do think they're Ibac, and actually an unknown millimetre of drop, so I don't actually know what effect these springs are going to have. If they're 60mm springs, I'll probably need to do a bit more to the front, but we'll have a look. So here's the springs. They were a bit tired and I recoated them in red, as you can see, previous rusting and what have you, but they're presentable enough. So what we can do is drop the old springs out the rear. It's a much easier job, or it should be a much easier job than adjusting the torsion bar at the front, because you're removing one bolt and the rear lower arm should be able to drop down enough to get the spring out. So let's have a go anyway. Fingers crossed it all goes well, we can get these springs in. I might just chop the bump stop a bit as well, but yeah, so these are the springs. I think they're Ibacs, I'm not 100% sure, but they are all complete, they're not broken, and we'll chuck them on and see how they look. Okay, so we are on axle stands. I've just got this on here just in case, but it looks absolutely stable and solid, so we can now get in and remove this nut here, which is the bottom of the shock. What that will then do is disengage this lower arm. We're able to push that down further and get our spring out. So let's give it a go. So it's out with the bolt at the bottom of the shock. That'll allow that lower arm to go down so we can get the spring out. The replacement spring goes in exactly the same as the old one come out, and then we get the jack underneath that lower arm again and start jacking it up. I'm using my foot here with the jack, as you can see, and then working that so I can get that lower bolt back in. Nip it up nice and tight, and that's job done for swapping the spring. The only other thing to bear in mind is if you do go lower, as in a 60+ mm drop, you are probably going to have to cut your bump stop, because that will bottom out and resist some travel in the spring. So something to think about depending how low you go with your T4. What we saying? Am I good? Do we need a bit more at the front? I think we're good. I'm going to take it for a spin after I've done the nuts up tight. Get it all sitting how it needs to be. And then we'll reassess how it looks. Right then, let's go for a little spin. See how she behaves. Start settling her in, or him, because he's called Blue. I reckon you can lower the front, or you can lower your van entirely by doing the torsion bar and the springs. Barring any issues, you should be able to get it done within an hour, really. You know, it's literally 4 bolts, plus your wheel nuts, of course. But yeah, not too much trouble. But I got a bit done today, and I've also ticked off a few more on the MOT. One was 2 corroded rear springs. That's replaced, sorted. And the other one was the rear discs that were pitted and scored. We've now got new rear discs, new rear pads. So we're getting through them. A couple of easy ones to do is the front and rear number plates. There's a wheel bearing that's noisy, I can definitely hear it. So I'll get the garage to swap that for me. I don't want to be pressing hubs out and stuff, that's just not fair. I don't have the facility for that. And I think there was only one other. But yeah. Van seems to be driving fine. No awkward play or bouncing or anything. It's behaving normally, so we'll call this a win. Properly chuffed though. This was a job I wanted to get done. You know, you start putting your mark on your van. You know, I've already said before, this van's going nowhere. It's my van. The day this goes is the day I shut up shop doing van conversions. That's when this will go. But yeah, right then, back to base. Jobs are good. Coolio. do we look good? I think we do. I do like a bit of rake on my vans though, so the front might come down a little touch, but then again I carry quite a lot of heavy gear, so I may just leave it and it'll work itself. Excellent. We've made some great progress on the T4 today. We got it down on the ground a bit more, and we also replaced those rear brake discs and pads. Those were actually 4 more jobs off the MOT list there, so that's really good news. Once again, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate the people that are asking after me and seeing how I'm doing and when the next upload is. I'm glad it is here now. We've still got plenty to do, but this work, my day job, takes up the time, you know. Converting vans into campers is what I do for a living for customers. This long wheelbase crafter, for example, it's a lot of work, you know. I'm making this into a full-blown off-grid camper, you know. It's not a 5-minute job. So unfortunately, the content does take its back seat there. But all the same, once again, thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, do hit a thumbs up. If you've watched one or more of my videos before, pop a subscribe down there. So down in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, there's a little RW. Click that, click subscribe. That helps a lot. Start building up the figures. Of course, if it's of any use to anybody, share it as well, you know. At the end of the day, I'm not a trained mechanic. I do this for, I call it my own pleasure. Sometimes it's pain, but I like a tinker, you know. I'm no expert. There's probably things done today that you'd be like, oh, I wouldn't have done it like that, but it is what it is, you know. So I do appreciate all the support, okay? And we'll catch you on the next upload. I don't know what it'll be. I don't even know what it'll be about. Actually, it might be a full brake service on my son's Seat Ibiza. But we'll see. Once again, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.